So my name is BriGette McCoy. For those of you out in streaming land, welcome. I appreciate you tuning in today with us here in Atlanta for the inaugural Georgia Women Veterans Conference by Women Veterans Social Justice. I wanted to first say welcome home. I wanted to let you all know that you're welcome here. This is an open space for you to begin to express and network and participate with one another in a community-like atmosphere. Most of you have never heard the words welcome home. In rare cases, you were celebrated by your command, your family, your community, and given a parade with streamers. But some of you retired, and you, after 20 or 30 years, the only thing that you got was a DD-214, and most times that had errors on it, if some of you can relate with that. So I say to you again, I say to you all, welcome home. Some of you are most recently exited the service, and some of those who left some 50 or 60 years ago. Do I have anyone who is post-World War II, anyone from Vietnam era? Oh, wonderful, wonderful, Vietnam era. Korean War, anyone from Korean War era? Okay, wonderful. It's an honor to have you here. You passed the baton to us. I'm a Gulf War era veteran. So you passed that baton to us, and it's a wonderful thing to see you here with us. So I'll be looking forward to having an opportunity to talk to you later. So that's awesome. So what I wanted to bring to you is that we were always here. We were always waiting for one another. We just didn't know where each of us were. It was like, how do we connect? Where do I find you? I wanted to hear your stories. I wanted to walk with you. I wanted to go places and sit down, and I always say, have a cup of tea with you. Those connections are so important. Some of us never, up until the last maybe 5 or 6 years, told anyone that we were veterans and that we served in the military. Some of us still today don't. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So I need you to stand up in your heart for our community. Every single day, we need you to stand up and say, I'm a veteran. I'm a military woman. I serve this country. I need you to do that every single day. You need to identify yourself as a veteran, whether that be service-connected or not. You need to also identify with your veteran and military service members who are women. We've got to start doing that. We have to start connecting to one another. It's imperative that we stand up and support one another in multiple ways. It's going to benefit our community and make our voices heard collectively when we challenge the basic quality of life in our community. There are words like transitioning and being a veteran or being a person who has post-traumatic stress. The only way that we can change the stigma to a lot of the things within the community is when we stand up as positive role models in our community and say, although this is purported in the news this way, that's not the way that is going on in our community. That's not how we interact with one another in our community. We have to show what our standard is. We have to set the bar and build upward. Standing up means we say what is acceptable and what is not. Do I need to say that again? Because y'all were real quiet. All right? We have to set the standard. We have to be the ones to say, that is unacceptable. I appreciate what you've done for me, but that's not what I need. That doesn't meet my need as a woman veteran. And here, let me show you what does. Because until we educate the community, and even our sisters and brothers in arms, we're not going to change anything. We have to stand up. So I'm going to ask you all to stand up physically now, because I asked you to do it in your heart, and to take a pledge that we're going to stand up for our community, which is our women veterans, and that we are going to speak out and say that we're veterans, military, some of you are still serving, and that when we see another woman in uniform, that we would approach her and say, I served also. So will y'all take that pledge with me and say that that's something that you would be agreeable to do? We just changed the complete atmosphere here in Atlanta and going forward out into the prospective places that you live and for the people who are watching on live streaming. We just absolutely changed the course of history. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. Now I'm going to ask you to be the change. Now we know that Mahatma Gandhi, this is part of one of the quotes from him, but I post that a lot. I post it as a hashtag. For those of you who are watching by streaming, you know that I'm always on Twitter or on Facebook posting be the change, because I don't perceive that you can change anything until you start with yourself. You can't expect something to change externally if you haven't changed it internally. So you see something happening in your community, you be the change. There is nobody in a White House going to come and save you. There is nobody coming that you're waiting for to make something happen. You have to be the person to make it happen. Be the light in your community. And I heard it said that a light doesn't have any lips. So a lot of time we do a lot of speaking and we're not doing enough. We have to be the change, not talk the change. Many are retired and enjoying retirement, and I love y'all. I appreciate you out there who are doing that. Hello, we need mentors. I'll be the first to say it. I meet someone, first thing I say, will you be my mentor? Especially if they've had a long career and they're enjoying life. I say, I need a mentor. And I don't mean a babysitter. I'm not going to have to change my diaper. I just mean I want to call you and say, yeah, can I run something by you? Can I talk to you about something? Because you have the wisdom and the experience that I may lack. You have been here and you have seen things that I may not have experienced. So through being the change, it's a call to action again to be a mentor. And each of us can mentor at the level that we're at to the people who are coming up behind us. So don't perceive yourself as this person who doesn't have anything to offer. You always have something to offer. Okay? So who is going to assist the next generation? Who will you pass your torch to? Who are you going to leave a legacy for? That's important, because if you're going to stand up for your community and then you're going to be the change, you're going to have to leave a legacy, and you want that to look like something. So you want to leave it to someone so that you can make sure that when you're no longer here, it still goes on. Because why would you build a monument and there's no one to stand there and see it? You want to build something that is going to outlive you. So, I love that image of passing a torch, because I see it so clearly, our sisters who have come before us passing the torch to each generation, and us passing the torch to the next generation. Visually, I just see that so very clear. We have the resources in our veteran women community to change the next dozen generations. See this panel of women? Got a couple 100 years of experience sitting here. When you compile it all together, I mean, really, you do. I worked in corporate, and I can tell you, in some of the bigger institutions, you couldn't get this many women with this much experience in one room within the whole corporation. So we've got to change that, because why is it that we don't have more women sitting at the table in corporations as the CEO, the CFO, in the C-suite? So these are things that we're gonna approach in this day. Some of you built cities in the sand in one day. Some of you integrated branches of service. There is so much inside of you. We have to begin to repair our community. We have to begin to have integrity with one another. We have to begin to lay a foundation where we support and hold up one another. It's imperative for us to even be able to get anything done that we begin there. If we are talking about each other behind each other's backs and we're not supporting what each other is doing, you don't have to show up at everything. It's just a text now. You can text folks and say, hey, good go. We have to begin to support one another in an integral way. It's very important that we love one another. There's a lot of concern that there's only one space at the top, but I would say there's no such thing. There's a lot of tops. There's a lot of ceiling. We have a lot of room to grow. And what I bring to the table, you may be doing the same type of thing, but you're going to bring it a different way. So competition is good. There's nothing wrong with competition. But at the end of the day, we should still be able to shake each other's hands, hug each other, and still give each other accolades and share ideas and concepts. So I'm going to ask you to do something else, because I'm going to ask you to do a lot of things today. Love y'all so much. But I am so excited about the wealth and of the women that are here, the women that are watching, the women who are sitting here in this space. We're diamonds. Do you understand that a diamond is a multifaceted thing? When you hold a diamond up to the light and it sparkles, each place that that light hits shows a different color, shows a different spectrum of light beaming through that, you know. So that's how we are. Some of us are still in the dirt, though, and we need a little brushing off. We need somebody to come and cultivate us. That goes back to our mentors. We need someone to help us chisel off some of the rough spots and smooth some of the edges that are not quite as beautiful as where it can be once we get finished. And so, again, I'm going to say, it's time for you to shine bright. I go back to that Rihanna song where she says, shine bright. You know, it's that embodying that feeling of that you have something that you can give to other people by being the change, by standing up, by having integrity with one another. That helps us all to shine bright. That gives us all the room and the space to grow to whoever it is that we're going to be. Being in banking and finance for a number of years, I'm always looking for a ROI, a return on my investment. And unfortunately, people don't perceive that doing things from a social point of view. I'm a social learning expert. So doing things from a social point of view, how do we connect people? You know, there's no return on investment for that. Where are the dollars to that? But I would say that my return on my emotional capital, the fact that I've told my story thousands of times and went before Congress and did all of those things, I perceive that I have an emotional capital that I get every single day. I have met the countless women and their families and seen those women who have heard my story step forward, stand up, and become community advocates themselves. And through that, becoming even my contemporaries. These women, a year or two ago, wouldn't even let a person know that they had been in the military, and now they're going before Congress themselves and saying, I served, and you're going to have to change something. That's powerful. That's a powerful thing. Again, I say competition Competition is a productive use of our resources. Now, some people will say competition is bad. Women shouldn't compete and don't be bossy and all of those things. I would say, yeah, maybe not don't be bossy, but I think it's good to compete. I think that gives us that little edge to say, oh yeah, I see my sister over there, she's doing that, I have to put my game up on this, you know. I didn't know this was going down this way. I think it keeps us sharp. Wouldn't you say so? Yes. Okay. So now we've dispelled the lie. We've dispelled a lie just now. Yes. Because if competition keeps us sharp, it shouldn't make us catty. So if competition keeps us sharp, and it shouldn't make us catty, then the lie that there is only room for one at the top has been dispelled. Let that sink in a minute. There's plenty of room. A glass ceiling is still a ceiling. There's room for many people. So we must support each other, and we must support one another, because the lie is there's only room for one at the top, and that we must claw and scrape our way at one another. That right now has been broken. There is access room. We have unlimited access. With social media, technology, there is unlimited access. What do you want to do? What is it that you want to do? What's in your heart to do? There's nothing stopping you. There's unlimited access. So you've been welcomed home. We solved that issue. We've asked you to stand up. We've asked you to have integrity within the community. We've also said, be the change that you want to see in your community. And I've also said to shine bright, that figure out a way to cultivate the skills that you have through getting a mentor or having someone coach you. There are plenty of tops, because we all bring different assets across various ceilings. We're here today. Our very presence here says we can do something so much more. Thank you. Thank you very much. We are going to have our panelists one by one step up and introduce themselves and give a brief summary of their work, their experience, and if they served, their military experience and background. Thank you, and draw your attention to our next speaker.